All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about De'Aaron Fox. There's breaking news that the Kings might be open to trading De'Aaron Fox before the trade deadline with a specific team in mind. De'Aaron might get traded before the trade deadline. We're going to talk all about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Like that Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So, De'Aaron Fox, there are reports, saying that Fox might get traded for the trade deadline. I wasn't planning on making a video today, or a full-on video at least. I made a couple shorts. You can go back and check those out, by the way. But yeah, I wasn't planning on making a full-on video today until Shams dropped the bomb on us, kind of. It was about an hour ago. I'm pulling the tweet up right now so I can give you the context word for word and cite my sources. But Shams Charania reported about an hour ago. He quoted, "Just in, the Sacramento Kings are expected to open up talks to potentially deal All-Star De'Aaron Fox ahead of the February 6th trade deadline." Sources tell ESPN there'll be plenty of suitors, but it's believed that Fox has a target destination in mind ahead of the 2026 free agency. And then Chris Haynes also added on a report saying Kings star De'Aaron Fox is zeroed in on a landing spot as franchise looks to possibly move him. Interested teams will likely be discouraged from trading for him, being he's set to become unrestricted free agent in 2026. Fox's unwillingness to sign an extension has positioned the situation here. So apparently the Kings are now open to De'Aaron Fox potentially being moved, and there's a specific team in mind. If you don't remember, this past offseason, De'Aaron Fox did not sign an extension with the Kings. Part of that was because he can sign for even more money this upcoming season, depending on awards and stuff like that. But also, number two, he was looking at the situation and seeing what's going to happen in Sacramento. After last year was a disappointing year. They missed the playoffs last year after being a top 3 seed and one win away from the second round the year before. How's he going to look at Sacramento? What's going on here? Let's monitor the situation before we fully commit to it, which is a smart thing to do. And this year has not been great for the Kings. They start off pretty bad, multiple games under 500. They fire Mike Brown, bring in Doug Christie. They've been better since Doug Christie's got in. They're above 500 now, and they're looking good. But apparently, it's not enough to convince De'Aaron Fox to stay in Sacramento. And now it looks like the Kings are open to trading for him. And I'm thinking about how this came up. Maybe we don't know yet. Maybe some more stuff comes out after I record this video. But I get a feeling maybe there was a conversation that happened, with the Kings trying to offer De'Aaron an extension, and maybe signs were pointing towards De'Aaron kind of being like, hey, I don't love what's going on around here, so, I might not sign the extension right now, which leads to the Kings trading him, which I think is the right move. And I feel like that's the writing on the wall. And that's probably what De'Aaron saw, is that De'Aaron saw the writing on the wall too, which everybody kind of sees, where the Kings are not good enough to compete in the West. With 2 years ago, they were top 3 in the West, and everything was looking good. They were an up-and-coming team. So much has changed around the league since then. And the Kings have just not been able to keep up. And this is not a good enough roster to compete in the Western Conference. But it's also not a bad enough roster to be a 14 seed. They're just going to be stuck in that weird middle of like 8 through 11, and we're just going to be in the play-in every year and be a 39 to 42 win team. Which, if you want to do that, fine, whatever. But it's just not good enough. And De'Aaron Fox now being, 8 years into his NBA career and only playing in one playoff series, like eventually at some point, he's going to want to start winning. And Sacramento just looks like it's not going to be the place for that. And De'Aaron's kind of taking matters into his own hands and being like, hey, I don't think this is the right situation for me. I want to go play somewhere more meaningful basketball. And it looks like that's what is kind of going on right now. That's what the sides are agreeing on. And this is probably step one, or part one, to the Kings rebuild, which I think was kind of inevitable after this, is that the Kings are going to have to kind of reset it again, reset it over. And De'Aaron probably is step one. Then maybe after this year, not the trade deadline yet, maybe after in the offseason, you give it as a bonus, find some team to take DeMar on, and let's just restart this over again. Which sucks because it feels like Sacramento's been in a rebuild for 20 years at this point. But, when you're not good enough, it's just not good enough. And it looks like De'Aaron might be open to getting traded, and the Kings are open to trading De'Aaron Fox, which is probably the best move, instead of losing him for nothing another year or two. So both Shams and Chris Haynes tweets, the common thing was that there's a specific destination in mind. There's a team that De'Aaron wants to land on. And there's a tweet by James Hand right after this situation broke that I don't know if it's 100% true or not, you know, but he basically said that the San Antonio Spurs would be the destination for De'Aaron if the Kings were to trade him. And I just feel like that makes the most sense. As soon as this news broke, I was thinking about teams, and the Spurs were one of the first to come to mind because it just makes too much sense for De'Aaron to San Antonio. I mean, Victor Wembanyama has already shown in year 2 that he's going to be a superstar and a top 5 player in this league. You know, who wouldn't want to play with a 7'4" dude that can do all this stuff he does? They have the picks, they have the young players. Maybe, you know, you have Stephon Castle potentially could be a move, you know, that could happen, you know, which is a great asset for the Kings to get back. You have Sohan, Devin Vassell, you have picks, you have all that. And also for De'Aaron, who's been in Sacramento, why not go to San Antonio, who has been a world-class organization, a top-tier organization, a winning organization, one of the most respected organizations and franchises in sports, not just the NBA, in sports. And going from the Sacramento Kings, which is literally the exact opposite of all those things, it'll be a very nice change for De'Aaron to go from that to the Spurs. And it just makes too much sense. They're a young team. They've already shown signs of being able to compete in the Western Conference. You add De'Aaron Fox in there, De'Aaron and Wemby. That's a great two-man combination that would be really, really nice to see. And just another dangerous team to add in that middle of the Western Conference. It just makes too much sense that it would be the Spurs. And that was my number one before even hopping on the video, before even seeing that tweet. I was like, the Spurs would be awesome, you know? Some other teams, potentially, the Miami Heat came out as a betting favorite right after this news broke. With the whole Jimmy Butler situation going on, I guess it might be a Jimmy for De'Aaron swap, which if you're Sacramento, I guess you just take Jimmy Butler, play him for the last 20 games. It's just like, all right, bye. I guess because you're not doing anything with Jimmy. Jimmy, DeMar, and Demonis is just, that's a crazy big three. But if you're De'Aaron, I don't mind the idea of De'Aaron in Miami. Him and Bam are very close friends. They played at Kentucky together. You have a Kentucky-led team with them and Tyler Hero as well, bringing some new pop and a star to Miami. That would be pretty nice. The Houston Rockets are another team that I feel like if it's not the Spurs, it'll probably be the Rockets. Hometown team for De'Aaron Fox. That's where he's from. They have the ammo. I've said multiple times that they have the ammo that if they want to go get a star, they definitely could. And De'Aaron would help a lot, especially for a team like the Rockets that don't really have a 1A right now, don't have a go-to guy. De'Aaron can absolutely fit in there. You have the picks. You have young players like Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore. You have salary filler and Fred VanVleet. That makes a whole lot of sense as well. And yeah, it just kind of looks like that's where it's going. It's probably going to be out of San Antonio or Houston. Some other maybe sleeper teams, I'm not really sure. Maybe the Orlando Magic, I've seen has been a team. I don't know if they have the assets as much as, you know, the other teams do. But a De'Aaron, Paolo, Franz, big three would go crazy, especially in the Eastern Conference. But I just feel like it's the Spurs. I just feel like it kind of has to be the Spurs. Like, that just makes the most sense right now. You know, that just is what it seems like is going to happen. And yeah, just adding another piece into this trade deadline where before coming into this trade deadline, I wasn't really getting my hopes up too high with the new second apron and all that stuff, not really many stars being available. I just thought it was going to be, okay, Jimmy, Cam Johnson, and maybe some little moves here and there. But now we have De'Aaron Fox, a certified all-star type player that can change a team this season being added into the mix. That's going to be huge. So obviously we're all going to be locked in. Very, very excited to watch it, see what happens, see if a trade actually does happen. Is this just all talk? You know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. And just the NBA just keeps on giving, you know. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.